Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. In this video, I'm going to talk about document management in the industry of life sciences and healthcare and overall the healthcare industry basically, right? Now, healthcare industry has a lot many different things including regulatory compliance and lot many things. And as I said, and when I say life sciences, that means they do have a lot many things to do when it comes to the document management and document management by using Microsoft 365 services, right? So I'm going to decode all those different topics in this video, and definitely it's going to be high level. So whenever you go ahead and try to deploy and implement Microsoft 365 services and different solutions for life science industry, life science companies and solutions, right? Definitely that's going to be unique and different for each scenario. But upon this video, you would be able to see and understand what is needed, what are the different scenarios, and what are the things and options that we can go ahead and implement it, right? So let me share my screen here quickly, and I'll walk you through all of these steps, all of these ways that are available by using Microsoft 365. All right. So you can understand by reading this one, which is a document management in Microsoft 365 for life sciences industry, right? Using good practices of regulatory compliance and compliance-driven content management, right? Now, every organization who are into the life sciences, who are into pharmaceutical industry and all of that stuff, they do have a lot many things to comply with, including regulatory compliance and security and all of that stuff, right? That is why they should also be following and they should have a right set of solutions to be implemented across the organizations. So, starting with why document management is critical for life sciences, right? So, I have put together few of the high level areas or top mentions here, including regulatory compliance, which is 21, CFR Part 11, good practices of regulatory compliance and security, audit trails and traceability, controlled document lifecycle, secure collaboration across R&D department, quality checks, right? Quality assurance along with regulatory teams and long-term data retention and governance, right? Now, not only this, but there are many other areas as well. But I have put this together to make sure many organizations are relying and they are managing everything with these compliance requirements. The next, Microsoft 365 capabilities. What are those which supports and helps us to manage the document and data effectively? Right, starting from SharePoint Online, Teams, OneDrive for Business, Power Automate, Purview Compliance Center, where we have governance, retention, and e-discovery, syntax, which is AI-driven content classification capability, and Copilot for Microsoft 365, which is intelligent summarization and drafting capability of Microsoft 365 overall, right? Now you might say, okay, these are the different capabilities, but as an organization, whether they are going to use this or what, or do we use or should we use it, right? Definitely, there would be different pros and cons and questions as well, whether we should rely on SharePoint Teams, OneDrive for Business, Power Automate, how Power Automate can help us in different scenarios. As you can see, approval process or e-signature workflows when it comes to the approving documentation, when it comes to the sharing documents, who should be able to see documents, access those documents, because definitely this capability or this industry has a lot many things to use with precautions, and they cannot share any confidential details or document outside the organization without approvals or without any right set of compliances, right? Because that's something not really good for the business and organization as well. And that is why there are many capabilities of Microsoft 365. You can see on the screen, those would be a part of it, and those would be utilized on different approaches, different scenarios, and different ways as well to implement with. The architecture layer of Microsoft 365 for life science industry, basically starting from content sources, right? Then you'd move and go with the governance and compliance, workflow automations, and AI and metadata, right? Now, the stores of content is going to be Teams, SharePoint for secure collaboration. Now, SharePoint has its capability, which is, of course, a OneDrive for business as well, and email system as well, right? So, whatever is going through, whether it is inflow or outflow, inbound or outbound of the organization, that is something classified data, whether it is publicly accessible, private, or confidential, or internal. So, that is something data should be classified as well, along with the right set of policies from governance and compliance perspective, and those would be applied with the sensitivity labels and then auditing and retention for the respective content, right? And then workflow is going to be something which is for archiving and auto approving the access levels and data and requests, whatever is coming and going within organization and outside the organization as well. So definitely this is going to be something really be need to be planned accordingly, and make sure what is accessible inside the organization, what is accessible outside the organization, who can access what, who can request for what is needed to whom, and who has appropriate access levels and permissions to be able to go ahead and access, share, modify, update, delete, and any of those activities and operations, right? And that is why, starting from the sources, then governance compliance is the main layer over here, where we need to put together retention, auditing, and all other different capabilities, so that we are going to protect the data inside the organization and when it is moving outside the organization as well. The next is implementation options, or we can say the plans or ways, in short. Starting from the baseline of Microsoft 365, which is, of course, not a good practice or non good practice initially, because when you sign up or when you have a brand new tenant, you won't have the right set of policies and configurations that is built for life sciences industry to set and to make sure that is compliant with that respective organizations, right? So you'd be end up and you have to start building that capability within the tenant, and you have to go from the scratch, and you'd be ready from good practices to build that across the SharePoint environment, OneDrive, then security and compliance and governance and all of that stuff. And the third model is hybrid model, where you would validate and validated and non-validated zones. That means where the data is accessible, right? If you are following GDPR, that is something data is accessible only the EU regions, and if the data needs to be accessed to other regions or other countries which are out of EU, that means that is not validated zone, right? And those are the scenarios as well where organization has to be compliant and data should be accessible and used only on the given respective zones, right? Now each option is going to be involved with version control, labeling, auditing, and workflow controls, which also allows and works as expected when we set it up appropriately, when the data is going to be accessible, provided to the respective teams and organization, whoever is going to be in contract or in position to work with them, right? Now when it comes to the life sciences industry or any industry in short, they do have different partners, different customers, and different organizations who are working on different projects, products, and services that they are offering to the organization, right? And now they do also share the data, documents with the internal plus external customers and vice versa. So that data needs to be classified appropriately, validated, who has access, who can share, who can modify, who can update, and all of that stuff need to be implemented appropriately as well. So that's a part of implementation, starting from baseline support or baseline implementation till the hybrid model, and then you can keep evolving the implementation options, methods, and improving on audit, security, compliance, and everything together, right? So even if I have to talk more about this one, it's not enough for a single video or few hours as well, because there are a lot many things to go ahead and deploy and talk about and implement it appropriately. Now, the next is scalable design and deployments. That means it means that defining global taxonomy and metadata standards for the whole organization when organization is operating across geolocations, be it multi countries or multi locations or multi regions, and they do have to follow different regulatory compliance and security standards as well for the data to be utilized, data to be shared, data to be accessed, and everything together, right? So to do that, there are different ways to automate the provisioning using PowerShell or APIs and integrating with different or third-party systems, including QMS, ERP, or SAP, or master controls. And definitely, there should be a right set of security controls as well, including zero trust with Entra ID, conditional access policies, using dashboards for documents matrices, right, where documents are being utilized, modified, and shared across so that organizations can gain the visibility and they can put different controls altogether on them as well. Next is use cases, which is a clinical trial master file, right? So this is something, one of the area where organizations or the life science industry organizations, they do store different trial data, right? Where now how that can be integrated in the technological terms or with the technology by using Microsoft 365, including storage and workflows for approvals and signatures and retention and tagging and everything together, right? So you can see starting from storage where SharePoint library with the respective data and details is going to be stored with the respective capabilities, including metadata and respective document or document ID, right? And then the approval flows would be going through or set up through Power Automate workflows integrated with the teams so that people can request for access, they can share files and modify it as and when needed and when they have appropriate access, including e-signatures, including Adobe Sign or DocuSign integrations with them, and the retention for or by using purview capabilities, 25 years retention or whatever it is basically, right? So based on that, organizations can set appropriate retention policies as well. And then AI tagging, right? So which is of course a syntax extracts identifiers and auto classifies on the data and different capabilities and documentation across the organization. So it is going to help them to make sure data is classified based on different parameters, different capabilities, what type of data it is, and how data should be classified and who should have access to it, right? And only those people should be able to access and share it and use it and modify it and whatever the permissions that they can, right? They should be able to do that only, right? So that's how it is going to be. Some of the best practices, starting with the pilot with the QA department before rolling it across the organizations, then defining document owners, reviewers, and approvers. That's also very important because any document that's been created for internal use, customers, partners, vendors, and whatever the engagement or partnership or relationship with external partners or parties have organization built, that is something that only the appropriate people or stakeholders should have appropriate access levels, right? Including document validations, testing the scripts for or the ways to put that good practices in scope, right? That is also very important. Reviewing compliance periodically when it comes to making sure the organization is compliant across document management, across the sharing internally, externally, and only the document is accessible to those people who ever needs to be accessed, right? Including dashing or dashboards and documentation life cycles with retention policies as well. So these are the few of the best practices. Definitely there are many, and it is going to be different and unique for each organizations and industry as well, right? Tools and integrations starting from Power Automate, Syntax, Purview, Power BI, and Graph API that are available here. So each of these tools are allow or available to work on different scenarios, including workflow automation, document classifications and tagging, compliance, retention, and sensitivity labeling, visualization of documents, KPIs, along with integrations with external systems, including SAP and all and other systems, basically. Strategic value for Microsoft 365 as document management system platform, right? Now, you might say, okay, how Microsoft 365 can help as a strategic value for document management system or as a document management platform, right? Starting from enterprise backbone with built-in compliance capabilities, of course, that is available with supports 21 CFR Part 11 and good practices readiness for the life science industry, AI-enabled document insights using Copilot and Syntax together, data residency and access governance capabilities, unified collaboration across regulated and non-regulated teams, right? That is also possible and is available. And these are the high-level future trends in Microsoft 365 for life sciences, right? And using Copilot for compliance, syntax, and purview integrations, Graph Insights, Azure Open AI integrations that can also be integrated and utilized, and continuous validation automation for good practices across the systems, right? So, based on all of these trends, definitely organizations are going to adopt different ways, different technological enhancements, and go ahead with different capabilities that they are using today and in future as well, right? So that is how it is going to be, and that is what I wanted to walk you through all about document management using Microsoft 365, right? So, yep, that is what. Let me know if you have any questions, any doubts, anything, and I'd be happy to answer. And that's it, right? So, yep, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. So you get to see every new video whenever it is uploaded. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.